Good afternoon, traders. It is Friday, July 30th, 2021, and the U.S. stock market is closed. Uh, I, Freaky Friday was freaky as usual today, but I've lived through worse Freaky Fridays, let's put it that way. Um, I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I'm probably going to talk a little more than I usually do on these videos today. And you can listen to it or you can turn it off. I don't care. Uh, but I have kind of made some decisions today, and they shouldn't surprise anybody if you know me. Anyway, let's talk about what happened today. You're looking at the Dow here. Uh, I do believe we do better now when the Dow goes down than when it goes up. And it did go down today, went down 149 points. Um, no big sell off, but it was definitely trending down today. We uh, we came in today with 8 positions, and we closed those out negative $11,000. So that was just more of the same. Uh, uh, we got into 7 new positions, 3 positive and 4 negative, and we closed with positive $3,300. Okay, 2.5 hours into today, took a screenshot. I'm putting it up on the site. 2.5 hours in, this was at $20,000. So again, they're coming in, they're selling this stuff. It's going down, and we're watching our profits just pushed into the ground all day long. More of the same. I will show you 3 stocks, and then I'm going to talk a little more about this. The first one I'm going to show you is Works Incorporated. I had to check the internet for the pronunciation of this. It's like work, but it's with an X. WORX. Works Incorporated. And this is a penny stock. And as I told you before, I trade penny stocks in part because they can be very volatile and the potential profit is very high. And Works did not disappoint me today with respect to being volatile. Unfortunately, it didn't pay off very well for us. Yesterday, we got into Works just the beginning of the first hour. It closed against us, and then it just screamed this morning for the first couple hours. And up here on top, we were up $14,000 in Works, and I actually posted the screenshot of this, and it'll be on the website as well. We're up $14,000 in Works, and then they started pushing it down. I will say, however, there's no trading halt, at least not one that I noticed. So whatever was the selling going on was done without a trading halt. And finally, we're stopped out with a tiny profit of $1,300. So we saw $14,000 profit go to $1,300 by this pull down. And then the thing kind of settled back and then started rising here. It looks like they might have ran our stops here. This is our re-entry, and we managed to buy that right at the top of this spike, absolute top of this spike. And then, of course, This was last hour, and then of course it pulls back significantly, so we're down $2,600 on the re-entry on the close. Now we don't know what's going to happen Monday with this, but I bet it goes lower. So this great trade in works that at one point was up $14,000 appears now to be going for negative territory and just more red in my spreadsheets. Show you another one today. This is BLIN, which is Bridgeline Digital Incorporated, and I got into this the first hour today, and it just screamed. And up here on top, Bridgeport Digital Incorporated, we are up about $18,000 on this thing, and then it pulls back. But oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong thing. We're up $10,000 up here, and this pulls back, and on the close we're up $1,700. So we see $10,000 wilt to $1,700 on the pullback in Bridgeline Digital. And then finally, the best trade we have, and this is, without this, we would have been negative today on our positions, and that is Marin Software Incorporated. That's MRIN. And this, we got in the first hour, this was up to $18,000 on the top here. We had some pullback, but at least we held on some decent profits. We on the close we're up $10,000 in that, but we still saw a drop from 18K to 10K the last 3 hours of the day. But it didn't totally reverse like those first two that we were looking at. All right, so we end up with a little over $3,000 open trade. We don't know what's going to happen Monday. Anything could happen Monday, but it looks like another disappointing day, and clearly we're in negative for the day based on the negative $11,000 that we actually closed out. This is the last day of July, and I did a little bit of analysis. July was incredibly rough for us. We had 21 trading days in July. We had only 6 days that we made money. We had 15 out of those 21 days that we lost money. Incredibly, we only lost for the months about $31,000. And I don't like losing $31,000 in a single month, but as far as bad months, no, I've suffered a lot worse. We've had months, and we actually had one month this year that we were over $100,000 in losses. So 31,000 is not so bad, given that we only had 6 winning days out of 21. The reason that the July wasn't a total disaster was because earlier in the month we had that trade in Carver, and we made, in that single trade, we made like $154,000. Without that trade, July would have been a complete and total disaster. But again, it was an outlier trade, and we get those from time to time that saved us. And this has happened to me so many times in the past. I really preach that you gotta trade the system religiously, or you're gonna miss those outlier trades. And those outlier trades is what makes the difference for us. I did go back and analyze the last 4 months, which have all been really hard trading. And what I came up with is we had 83 trading days in those 4 months, and we only made money in 32 of them, which anyway, that translates, we're losing 62% of the days that we were trading for the last 4 months. People, that's tough to trade. And that's why people can't follow the system. If you're doing an activity that you're losing 62% of the time, and you stick with that for 4 months, you're going to become like me. You're going to become irritable, ornery. If you're doing videos, you're going to sound like you're griping all the time, and so on and so forth. That's a part of trading. I will remind you, in spite of these horrible statistics I'm giving you, that we are still up over 75% for 2021. And that's because we had 2 great months in January and February. And although I do not try and predict markets, I will tell you I would say a good chance we're going to have a couple more great months before the end of the year. And we may end up well over 100% for the year. I'm not predicting it. I'm just saying it could happen. And the performance of this system in 2021, even though so far it's been very difficult to trade, is spectacular compared with professional money managers. And so I'd make no apologies, but I'm just saying, if you're doing an activity that you're losing 62% of the time, it becomes extremely difficult to follow the system. Finally, I'm going to vent about an email I got. This is not a paying customer. This is somebody that apparently watches these videos and feels that he can comment whenever he pleases, and he can. There's no problem with that. But I also can comment back on the videos. His first name is Jeff, I believe. And Jeff, if you're listening to this, I want you to know I think you're a moron. And this is why I think Jeff is a moron. He wrote me this long email explaining that I should stop complaining about the bad markets, that this was my fault. And all I needed to do to make money is to alter my algorithm. This is the algorithm that's got us up over 75% in 2021 as I'm talking here. But I need to change this algorithm, and what I needed to do is make it so after our trades get to a certain percentage of profit, we get out. That's all. In other words, it's just another way of saying, hey, Bob, you'd make a lot of money if you just get out on the high of the day. And here's the deal with that. I just talked about this Carver trade. What's the percentage of that? I mean, what's the percentage of that? What would have happened if I'd gotten out early with that one? It wouldn't have had the Carver trade, and we'd be so deep in the red for July, you wouldn't believe it. I'm going to tell you another quick story. Told you this before, going to tell it again. It's a good one. This is the trade I still have nightmares about. This was a while back. It wasn't this year, but I was going through a bad period like we're going through right now, and I had this one trade that I got into the day before, and I looked at it in the pre-market, and I was up about $30,000 in that trade, and I says, damn, I'm not going to let those bastard hedge fund managers take this away from me. I'm going to take this. I'm going to get out in the pre-market. And I got out in the pre-market. I took my $30,000. people. It took another 2 days with that trade, but it was all playing the system the way the system goes. And that trade exited with $240,000. In other words, I gave up $210,000 by getting out early, taking a percentage of profit, Jeff. That's what I was doing, okay? And I'm going to tell you, even in a great year for me, $200,000, that represents 50% of my profits, even in a good year. 6 months of trading, even in a good year. In a bad year, it represents all year for me. And I gave that up. I still have nightmares about that trade. And that's why I do not get out of my system early. It's just suicidal to do that. You take a percentage and get out. You're going to cut out all the outliers, and the outliers are where the money's at. And no, I don't get $240,000 trades very often. I'd be real lucky to get just one a year, but that's the trade that's going to make the year, and you got to stick around with it. I also know yesterday I was very pessimistic, and I've been thinking about that and, saying, yeah, maybe I just ought to get out of this. I want you to know I'm not going to get out of this. I'm not going to quit. This isn't going to keep up. It just isn't going to keep up this way. And the hedge fund managers that are doing this stuff are going to have their head handed to them on a platter. It's going to happen. They can't keep shorting stuff and shorting stuff and think that they're always going to make money, because it's going to turn around and they're all going to get screwed, just like they got screwed with great GameStop. So, yeah, I'm in it for keeps. I'm going to stick with it. I'm not going to give up. I know this is really frustrating for people, my customers that are trading this, but I'm just saying, don't give up. Cut back maybe a little on your exposure, but don't give up. We keep trading this. It's going to start making money again. We're all up. We're up really good for this year in spite of all these problems, and we're going to have some good months before the year closes out. That's my spiel for today. You guys have a great weekend, and I'll be back here on Monday trading as usual.